Nobody's saying that, but it's just that.
And it's not in the contemporaries in
You can get
Rivers State.
Yeah, good evening. You're welcome to Pundits on Flip TV, where we look at issues constructively. We look at topical issues constructively. I have one special guest with me, and that person is Mr. Matthew. You know, say, Mr. Matthew, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's look at what we have for today. There are issues that is going on. Currently, we have a gas explosion at Ladipo Mushin area of Lagos State, and I think the government is also taking measures to look at how it can stop further occurrences around the area. And we're also looking at Malami. The Nigerian Bar Association said that Malami cannot set up a pro panel. We are going to look at Gumi again setting up a school for bandits and asking the federal government to support his feat. And we are also looking at a Lekki panel report indicting the government, the army, and the police. Firstly, let's take a look back at what happened. Yes, I think it's yesterday the panel brought report.
Yes.
That the army, the police is complicit. So our topic this morning, we are looking at who is to blame. I intentionally had to mention Buhari, I had to mention Sanwo-Olu, and also had to mention Tinubu.
Okay.
So let me start. What do you think? Who's to blame?
Okay, first of all, I think if we are looking at who is to blame, considering the nature of Nigerian system, I think the blame should be directed at the doorstep of Mr. President.
Okay.
Considering the command and control system of our security architecture. Because if you look at it, it is a well-known fact that the governor, as the chief security officer of the state, do not command the commissioner of police. The director of DSS in the state is not answerable to the governor.
Okay.
The man who is heading, in fact, all the paramilitary agencies do not report to the governor. So to that extent, if you are looking at who is to be blamed, I think it should be directed to the doorstep of the president. Because
I don't agree with you, because I think Governor Sanwo-Olu should have made a call. The governor is the chief secretary of the state, and he has the obligation to make a call if there's any. So who made that call?
Okay, now let's look at it from this angle. Nigeria as a sovereign state, Mr. President, by virtue of his position, is a commander of the armed forces.
Okay.
And if you are looking at the hierarchy of command and control, you have the National Security Advisor, who reports to the Mr. President.
Mungono.
Yes, and you have all the service chiefs, the chief of army staff, chief of naval staff, chief of air staff. In fact, of course, you have the chief of defense staff,
okay,
who oversee all the service chiefs. And the chief of defense staff, in turn, report to the National Security Advisor, who reports to Mr. President. In all the chain of command and control, there is no provision for the role of the governor.
Can the president just budge into Lagos State if there's anything happen without a call from the chief security officer of that state?
It is by understanding that the governor will be in the know if there is a security of. If there
I'm talking about the distress call.
What you call distress call, it is by privilege if this the security heads decide to even brief the governor.
Okay.
It is by privilege that they decide to brief him.
Okay.
I'll give you an instance. Recall when Amechi was the governor of Rivers State. Joseph Umbu,
yeah,
as commissioner of police in that state, once said that he have tamed Amechi. You can imagine where a commissioner of police in a state is saying that he have tamed a sitting governor who, by virtue of his position, is the governor and the security officer of that state. It goes to tell you that the governor have no role when it comes to managing the security of the state. Let me cite another instance. Jonah Jang, as governor of Plateau State, once said that he do not command a fly, even as the chief security officer of the state. And recently, Governor Wike of Rivers State, he was addressed in a channel program at the Chief Security Officer of the state. He said no, that but rather he's the Chief Logistic Officer of the state. I'm saying all these things so that you see the practical nature of the role of the governor. They do not have a role to
Mr.
play.
Mate, I understand all what you just said. My point is, somebody made a distress call in this situation. We are looking at those that are complicit. You said we start from the president, and I'm now counting on Sanwo-Olu and Tinubu. Now let's look at Sanwo-Olu. Sanwo-Olu made a distress call. Without that distress call, there wouldn't be any army invasion in Lekki Toll Gate.
If you could recall, what Sanwo-Olu said ab initio after the unfortunate incidents at Lekki Toll Gate was that the power beyond his control carry out the operation. And again,
Mr. Matthew, did he make a distress call?
He needed not to make any distress call. Let me tell you, okay, look at it from this angle. We had a Sanwo-Olu that was engaging the protesters on daily basis.
Okay.
He was going to Lekki Toll Gate to address the protesters. They were even humiliating him.
Okay.
And he was taking their 5-for-5 demand to the president, coming with the feedback.
Okay.
It got to a point where the power that be decided to do what they did.
Okay.
So for me, I do not see, and if you look at the outcome or rather the report of the panel,
okay,
you will see a governor who is interested in rule of law. You see a governor who have given the panel the leverage to operate as an independent panel of inquiry.
Okay.
You see a governor who did not gag the panel, going by the report they now turn out. So for me, I do not see anywhere the blame should be shared between the presidency and the governor. But unfortunately, the area the governor may get some blame is he didn't have the boldness to speak up to actually avail the public of who did what. Perhaps because he cannot say that he do not have access to some classified information as to who did what. But for purpose
at the point he said nobody was killed. At the point the governor said nobody was killed in that shooting. At the point he denied the reports that people were killed. The governor denied.
Ab initio, we all know people would have died in their numbers. If the governor said nobody was killed, that is wrong on his own part. But for me, I know from the word go that there was massacre. Even as government, especially federal government, started denying the fact that people were killed, to the point that they were saying that this is only massacre without body. I knew they were only playing gimmick. It was a ruse. They were only trying to be diplomatic.
Okay, let's look at the role of Minister of Works, Dr. Rajiv Fashola.
Okay.
Going to that place. You know, we have youths there, over 1,000 youths that were there, and he was the only one that came from Abuja. He came and found a camera. Let's look into that scenario. What do you think?
Okay. For me, I think it was stage managed. Because you see, this report of the panel have unearthed so many things. Because now, one can confidently say that, oh, before the arrival of those people that came from Abuja, where Fashola allegedly saw a camera, that there was a cleanup of the scene. Because according to the panel, the two vehicles were brought in by the government with brush to clean the scene of the incidents, perhaps to leave no evidence, trace of any evidence. So to that extent, if there was a cleanup of the environment, or what the military will call a mop-up anyway, they've done all that before Fashola group came in. So how come it was possible for a camera to be on a platform exposed and nobody saw it before Fashola saw it? For me, I feel it was an arranged event.
The report was a 309-page report obtained by how the army and police disregarded the lives of engagement during the process. You see, they said that if you leave the Nigerian flag, I heard it, that you will not be shot. What happened?
you see, it's unfortunate that we have an unprofessional military force, because I do not understand why Nigerian military will start shooting on armed Nigerians who were merely sitting on the floor, waving Nigerian flag, and even singing Nigerian national anthem, which is in solidarity with Nigerian sovereign state. So, and if you look at the report of the panel, the report said that not about 9 persons were confirmed to have been killed directly from Lekki toll gate. 4 were missing. 24 sustained injury. And if you look at the reports as presented, which the panel adopted anyway, as presented by this that forensic pathologist from Lagos Specialist Teaching Hospital. I'm talking about John Fabuwa. Okay, the report said that another 96 corpses were recovered from different parts of Lagos State. Meaning some of those corpses, some of those 96 would have been part of corpses recovered from even Lekki toll gate.
Mr. Matthew, it seems you want to exonerate the Lagos State government.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at.
Since the constitution gives the governor the right to uphold the security of its citizens in Lagos State, as its chief security officer, he should be part of this blame.
Okay, look at it from this angle. The police is accused. The army is accused. Now, who control the police? Who control the army? Who gives order for the GOC?
Are you saying that the governor is totally out of the...
The command and control of the army, of the police, the governor do not have a role to play. I'm not saying because I want to absorb him of culpability. I'm not saying because I hold him brief for him. I'm saying because the Nigerian system do not make provision for the governor to have a responsibility in terms of command and control of the police and army. Look at the recent issues about creating state police, creating Amatekun, Ebubago and all that. If Amatekun were to be operational and we have these incidents, why will be accusing, pointing accusing finger at the governor because he controls Amatekun? But you cannot tell me that the commissioner of police that is answerable to the inspector general of police in Abuja, inspector general of police who is answerable to the chief of defense staff, chief of defense staff who is answerable to the national security advisor, national security advisor who reports to Mr. President. You see the chain of command and control. Where do you see the role of the governor? For me, the only area the governor will be blamed is in the area of not divulging some information to the public, which I believe he may be privy to. Not that he have a role in giving out instruction as to who should shoot and who should not shoot.
Because what is flying now is that the governor placed that call. The governor placed the call on
Let me tell you this.
That's what is flying.
What is happening is people, they are playing politics. And because they are seeing that the governor do not have what it takes to muscle with them at that level, it will be convenient for them to shift blame to the governor. But the much as I know, and the much we can understand from the constitutional provision and the workability of Nigerian political system, it is the governor do not have a role to play when it comes to giving instruction to the army, giving instruction to the police, giving instruction to the DSS and all that.
Okay, there are 3 people in this.
Okay, let me tell you
this mix.
Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Have you not heard instances where the security detail of a governor will be withdrawn?
Yeah.
If the governor had the power, would the governor prefer his security detail to be withdrawn? I don't think so. We have had instances where the security detail of a governor will be withdrawn, and the governor will be handicapped, will be at the mercy of criminals. Okay. So what are we saying?
Okay. Now you have exonerated Sanwo-Olu.
It's not a question of exonerating. It's a question of the way I see it. It's a question of the reality.
Okay, from the way you see it and the reality on ground now,
Nigerian system
that you have brought out, you are exonerating Sanwo-Olu. Let's go to Tinubu.
Let me bring up another issue.
Tinubu, we know him as the godfather of Lagos State. We know him as somebody who has a major stake in Lagos State. And you know that Lekki toll gate, something tells you that Tinubu is related to that Lekki toll gate, and the money is made from that Lekki toll gate. So where does Tinubu? People have been blaming, saying that Tinubu has a part to play in this shooting. Where does he stand?
Okay, if you look at it practically, Tinubu have no position in governance.
No, I disagree with you.
I'm coming. Tinubu have no position in governance. That is not to say they may not have been unseen hand in the process of who did what.
But I challenge you that there's an unseen hand in governance.
That's the area I'm going.
Okay.
I say you cannot rule out the possibility of unseen hand in what transpired. But the way it is difficult to say Tinubu or any other person for that matter who is not in government did one thing or the other, because we don't have the proof. Anything we say here in respect of that is speculative. I can confidently accuse Mr. President, I can confidently accuse the Chief of Army Staff, the National Security Advisor, because they are the one that is saddled with the responsibility of giving the command. So even if somebody, okay, let me give you an analogy now.
Are you talking
in
accordance to Nigerian politics? In
accordance to Nigerian system. Let me give you an analogy. Let's assume somebody who does not have role to play in governance. Tinubu, for instance. Okay. Let's assume, for the purpose of argument, you say he gave the command.
No, I didn't say give it.
I'm coming. Let's assume, for the purpose of argument, you say he's complicit. You now ask, is the GOC that is alleged to have given the order answerable to Tinubu?
Okay.
Is the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State answerable to Tinubu? Is the Chief of Army Staff answerable to Tinubu? Is the head of police under the command and control of Tinubu? Is the National Security Advisor under the command and control of Tinubu? You see that they are not under his command and control. So even if you say there is unseen hand, which I may allude to, but it is difficult to prove. So as such, anything you say in that regard is speculative.
Okay, once again, if you just joined us, you are watching Pundits on Flip TV, where we do constructive. This is not bystanders on the streets, where people come and just give their opinion, just point out, react. We are not reacting to issues here. We are looking at issues constructively. Let us also look at, we are still on the Lekki issue. We have a book, Lies and the Hail of Bullets. Lies and the Hails of Bullets. This is a documentary of what really happened at the Lekki toll gate. In this book, you find survivors' accounts. They give their account. Many have given their account. Some things you don't hear on, see on social media, see on the television, on the papers. You find them here. This is from Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa. They did a painstaking job to gather information. If you see the shirt I'm wearing, it's almost the same with I attended the press conference, and I had to meet with some of these people that were live there when the shooting. Some of them had gunshot wounds. Some of them, their legs were taken off. When I saw them, I just imagined, how would the government say, somebody like in the person of Lai Mohammed, say there was no shooting? When I saw these people, I was so confused. What kind of government are we running?
We have one, you like call it an irresponsible government. I think that name served them better. Because for me, I don't know why somebody will come and address press conference, and claim that it was a massacre without body. That they used rubber bullets. With the overwhelming evidence
from CNN
that is coming out from even during the proceeding of the panel. Okay. Don't forget that even the military at the point stopped attending the panel abruptly when they saw that every day they were being confronted with overwhelming evidence. So for me, I think it's the government personality should hide their faces in shame they should bury their heads in shame.
Okay.
And like you rightly said, CNN did a documentary, a detailed documentary of how Nigerian government procured the arms and ammunition that were used for that purpose, the year it was procured, the country for where they bought it, and all that. Only for Nigerian government to be tagging CNN a partisan media organization.
Okay.
But again, I think the reason we are seeing this is because over the years, Nigerian system do not have mechanism of punishing erring military personnel and police personnel.
Okay.
Just as we can cite what happened to Shiite movement in Zaria under this administration, a situation where they were led to barricade the way against the former chief of army staff, and in person of Brutai.
Okay.
According to a testimony of a military personnel that came to testify before a panel of inquiry that was constituted by Kaduna State government, he said that after all entreaty to the Shiite member to vacate the road proved abortive, the military have to shoot their way through. And the result of the shooting their way through was the killing of 347 Shiite members.
No, from what we know happens in Nigeria today, do you think that the military will be brought to book?
That is where I'm going. That if they were prosecuted and some people sanctioned, some people brought to book, other military personnel would have learned from that. And again, professionally, there are some circumstances that as a military personnel you can refuse an order from your superior, because you subject that order to about 3 tests. 1, is it moral? Is it legal? I think there's another one, because I don't know why in Nigeria we see a military that is unprofessional. This even reminds me of the killing of those 3 policemen in Taraba State.
Wadume.
Who went to arrest Wadume. And as we speak, the government constituted a panel that indicted the captain and 9 other soldiers. As we speak, Attorney General of the Federation, who took over the case, charged the other suspect to court, and the captain and the other 9 soldiers were not charged to court with an excuse that the military high command refused to surrender them for prosecution. So why would the military not do even worse? Because the military personnel who have done certain things in the past are not being prosecuted. You see, the essence of law is to act as a deterrent to others. Okay. So if people are not being prosecuted, people will not be deterred from committing the same crime.
Okay, let me read some of the comments. If you are watching us, you can also place your comment on the live chat so we can read out and get what you're saying. I have a target analyst. I see you. Broadnet Concept is saying that if Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu mistakenly spoke up that time, he could have been forgotten by now. Say, please let us forgive Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. He has no power to give order to military or power. Okay, now CNN, we are expecting actions from CNN and other international bodies. Where is Nigeria placed at this point in time? What's the image of Nigeria going to be at this point in time with the comments of the Minister of Information?
Okay, you see, even the best of the nations of the world, like Britain, like America, even best organization of the world, like UN, European Union, they were all saying that they want to wait for that panel to turn in their reports before they make their comments. So you see, whether we like it or not, this have dented the image of Nigeria in the Community of Nations. It doesn't matter how you look at it, because it has already portrayed Nigerian military as unprofessional military.
Okay.
Don't forget that under Jonathan, American government refused to sell critical arms and ammunition to Nigerian military to fight insurgency, specifically Alpha jets, and they cited Nihilo. And Nihilo in America forbid American government to sell ammunition to a country, a military that history of human rights violation. So with what we are seeing, it is going to affect the image of Nigeria globally.
Okay.
So that is why Nigerian government need to do the needful by ensuring that they fish out those bad eggs. They fish out who gave the order. and ensure that adequate punishment is meted out to them.
Okay, let's look at Malami's case. According to the Nigerian Bar Association, they are saying Malami can't set up pro panel on the list case. Let me read the chairman of section Public Interest and Development Law Spidel of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA Monday Ubani, has said the Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami cannot set up an independent panel to probe the siege on Justice Mary Odili's residence. Some security operatives, including police officers, had on October 29th stormed the home of Odili, the wife of a former governor of Rivers State, Peter Odili, in the Maitama area of Abuja. The government will set up a panel.
Okay, for me, I equally share the position of Ubani. I believe that someone should not be a judge in his own case. I believe that if you are accused, you should allow an independent panel to do an investigation.
But I think for Malami to set up a panel is right, because the executive has the responsibility to set up such panels.
But a situation here, okay, I'll give you an instance. If a judge is handling a case, like in Nnamdi Kanu case, is Nnamdi Kanu's legal team are already telling Justice Nyako to recuse herself, and is allowed in law. In the same vein, if you are accused or accusing fingers are pointing at you, the honorable thing to do is to distance yourself from any panel that is intended to investigate what transpired. Then again, I think to an extent, I'm not trying to hold brief for Malami, because if you look at the revelation from the man who was arrested, the man that led the siege, he claimed to be a consultant to the Ministry of Justice, and he claimed to have carried out some job on behalf of the ministry, but he alluded that he was not given this responsibility, that he went there on his own. But the questions that are begging for answer is this: one, who approached the court for that order? I think it was not a spirit, human being.
The judge that was present has a case to answer also.
That is a different ballgame. But what I'm trying to say in essence is the registrar of the court should produce who came for the order. Now, I believe they may have drafted some policemen into it, but the argument is, if the people who went for the operation had a valid court order, do you now question police for following them to enforce a valid court order? That's another argument. Because if they presented a valid court order, which turned out to be, because the court later said the court was led into giving that order, but as at the point they were going for the operation, it was a valid court order. Do you now question the police personnel who went to enforce a valid court order? That's a different ballgame. So I think the leadership of the people who went for the siege is the one that should be held responsible.
Okay.
The police, to an extent, have done a good job. Little did I know that police will even get to the point of unraveling who actually led the siege. But as we speak, it has been zeroed down on somebody, and the person is in custody.
Okay.
Except otherwise, the person is saying that one or two other persons in government may be responsible or may be behind the siege. If all we know and all the accusation are directed at the man who led the siege, the man is absorbing it, the man is not pointing the accusing finger to other persons, then the man should be treated as a culprit.
Okay, controversial Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has charged the federal government of Nigeria to build schools for bandits. According to reports, Buni stated the obvious on Monday while on an inspection tour of Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio Center, a school built by Sheikh Gumi at Kagarko Grazing Reserve near Koto village in Kaduna State. I remember when Jonathan was still president, he did some things for the north. Now, where is Gumi taking this to?
I think in a safe society, Gumi should be behind the bar by now. Because Gumi have made so many statements that is capable of polarizing this country. Okay. That is capable of throwing the country into that in fact some statements that would have engendered a residential threat. You can imagine that a Gumi at a point said that the military personnel who are killing bandits are Christian military personnel. You can imagine fight the bandits against the Christians, and it's not becoming of a sheikh of that status. Then again, I think we all know, going by the activities of bandits, that these are terrorists. I don't know, the government or whoever is trying to change the narrative, these people they call bandits are terrorists, because Sheikh Gumi, who should know better, have told us ab initio that these are Fulani henchmen who claim that their cars have been rustled. They now take it as an excuse to take to crime. To that extent, if Global Terrorism Index have already recognized Fulani henchmen as fourth most dangerous terror organization in the world. So what are we waiting for? These are already terrorists. It's just that the Nigerian government, for reason best known to them, have refused to do the needful by designating and tagging Fulani henchmen and bandits as terrorists. Because if you look at even this 12 Tucano jet we recently acquired from United States of America, an agreement the Nigerian government signed with American government states that you can only use those Tucano jets against insurgents, against terrorists, and against threats along Nigerian borders, meaning bandits are exonerated. And you have a situation where almost all the stakeholders in Nigerian projects, including and not limited to the senators, House of Rep members, the governors, traditional rulers, are on the same page, calling on the executive to do the needful by designating bandits as terrorists, to pave way for the military to deploy this critical air platform, Tucano jets, against them for the purpose of decimating them, and let us have a sigh of relief. But for the reason best known to the executive, they are refused all this while.
Okay, if you have just joined us, this is Pundits on Flip TV, and I have Mr. Matthew with me. On Pundits, we have constructive analysis of topical issues in Nigeria today. So we currently at Gumi, the report on Gumi, asking the federal government to make sure that it supports education for the headsmen. We also looked at the NSAS panel report that indict the army and police, and I also had to reiterate that who is to blame? Is it Buhari? Is it Sanwo-Olu? Is it Tinubu? Because some school of thought believe that these people are actors in the whole issue. Kingsblade TV said all the people involved in this should face the law. Lai Mohammed, Lagos State Governor, the roadworks that clean up the place, Fashola, Buhari, etc. Okay, let's move. There was a gas explosion at Mushin, Ladipo area today, and many people have been saying so many things about that gas explosion, particularly at this point in time where we have a standards organization of Nigeria that needs to ensure, make sure that things, because something that might happen, one of the reasons that those things might have flared up, according to the Commissioner of Police, Odumosu, he said people don't know what to do around gas when there's so much gas in the place. You don't pick your calls, you don't pick a call. Gas should not be stopped in a place where you have naked wire. So all these standards, these things that need to be put in place. What do you think is wrong with some of these things that's happening in Lagos State?
Well, I think the Commissioner of Police, with due respect, I don't think he is the one that should be speaking.
No, the National Emergency Management Administration, the emergency people, they also spoke on it. They
what
said
I'm saying it is this.
the place is in an open place where we have shanties.
Well, okay, let's look at it from this angle.
Okay.
Sun has always been in Nigeria. That is standard organization of Nigeria. It didn't start today. And all this while, we have been seeing issues with almost every sphere of life that have been in existence. So it is a function of the decadence in the Nigerian system. It cut across every sphere of life. Now, we have a panic around Ikeja the other day about
village.
gas leakage. I think the government they were proactive enough to stop the leakage, and there was no casualty. Though this one you're talking about Mushi, I've not gotten the details to know whether there was casualty, whether there's fire incidents.
Five people died.
And all that. But again, I think if we do the needful, all these incidents will be addressed. Because you see, go to any corporate organization, for instance, you see there is a fire alarm. Once there is an issue, before it gets to the point where it becomes hazardous, to the point of casualty, there would have been a system that would have notified experts, and it will be controlled. It will be arrested. But again, like I said, it is a function of decadence in the Nigerian system. And if you want to start sanitizing the Nigerian system, it has to be holistic.
Because I believe from our schools, we have teachers that are not qualified. In our government parastatals, we have...
It cut across every sphere of life.
Maybe somebody that is not so qualified just...
Yes, somebody somewhere would have reneged on his responsibility. There would have been a dereliction of duty, a negligence of duty for this to happen. Somebody would have been responsible to know if there is a possible or a threat of a leakage. So meaning somebody would have reneged. That is why you see, the sanction is required. Sanction should be meted out to whoever is involved, irrespective of who else is God, to act as deterrent to others and to forestall future occurrence.
That's the issue we have in Nigeria today. We have that issue in Nigeria.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
You don't really, because you are my brother.
And again,
I don't want to punish, make you go through that punishment because you're my brother.
Yes,
it's my family. And if it does something wrong, I don't really look at it from an aspect whereby he needs to pay for what he or she.
And then you see, we don't have this maintenance culture. Because if it's not limited to the issue of gas, almost in every area of life, we don't have this maintenance culture.
That's why you see street light running, light up Lagos running. Now, where is the light up Lagos?
That is that maintenance culture I'm talking about. That's why you see a road that would have been constructed maybe 10 years ago. If that road is subject to routine maintenance, you will not see serious failed portions. But they will leave it unattended to until you get to a point where it becomes a death trap to road users. And it will claim many lives before they see the need to address it. So it's a Nigerian problem.
That means there's no one you can hold responsible when there's a gas.
People should be held responsible, but the problem is because of favoritism, because of tribalism, because of nepotism, people do not do the needful. If you ask them to do investigation now, for purpose of unraveling what happened, some persons will be indicted.
Cut corners.
After indicting who did wrong, will the government, with the personalities who are responsible for meting out sanction, want to compromise their responsibility? That's the problem we have in Nigeria.
Okay, we are gradually moving to the end of Pundits this evening, and once again I have Mr. Matthew, is a very committed analyst on this show. Christian Chukwu. I'm also going to say, if you have anything to say about the topics we have this evening, you can go to the comment section and kindly put down who do we blame, who are you going to blame on the shootings, the Lekki shootings that happened last year, October 2020. Is it the presidency? Let me paraphrase it. Is it the presidency? Is it the Lagos State government? Or is it APC and the unseen forces? Or is it the Nigerian system, the decayed system, the corrupt system in our country today? Lastly, Mr. Matthew, let's lastly go to this Lekki shooting. That's where we're going to end the pundit. I look at, what do you think should be done?
Thank you very much. I think the panel have made some recommendations. One, they have said that that day should be set aside as a public holiday. Secondly, they have said that there should be a monument where all the people killed, their pictures, their images should be inscribed on other Lekki toll gates. And they have said that, chief among them, that the government should start the process of identifying all the police personnel and the military personnel who did what for the purpose of prosecuting them according to law.
Okay.
Then again, they have said that that day, if that Lekki toll gate still exists and toll is being collected, that day should be made a toll-free day. And again, they have said that that Lekki toll gate should be renamed as NSAS toll gate.
NSAS toll gate.
Yes. Okay. So I think the government should do the needful by ensuring that they implement the findings.
Okay. There's a report, breaking news now. A group called for the sack of Lai Mohammed. A group has called for the sack of Lai Mohammed. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Huriwa, has called for this dismissal, arrest, and prosecution of the Nigerian Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, for lying to Nigerians over the killing of unarmed NSAS protesters at the Lekki toll gate. Do you think this will be part of what we talk about when we talk about justice in this case?
But you see,
it should be dismissed, arrested, and prosecuted.
I think it's a good call, but again, the government will have. Do they do such? Was it not in our very eyes here that everybody were talking about Pantami, who
even Magu,
who all his past dealings in terms of sympathizing for bandits, terrorists, came to the fore, and the government rose to his defense that he was a child, he was a juvenile, he didn't know what he was saying. So how do you now rely on that same government to do the needful in the case of
okay, let's talk about the heroes in this. We have DJ Switch. If not for DJ Switch, we wouldn't have been talking about all this now.
Of course.
She did a live video, and all the while she I think she's in Canada.
Of course.
Where I don't know whether can you call it asylum?
I wouldn't say asylum,
because she's afraid for her life. Because the Nigerian system would not allow.
No, you can say she's seeking asylum.
Yeah. We have Macaroni, we have Files. These people have been consistent, and these people, when you look at them, they are just artists. They are artists. Where are our human rights activists?
You see, unfortunately, most of the human rights activists we have in Nigeria were part of APC ab initio. So somewhere along the line, they collapse their activism into APC. So it is recently.
So APC now swallowed.
Yes. It is recently they are beginning to realize that no, they have to wake up and start fighting. So most of them are fighting, but I think I dropped my heart for someone like Falana because he has been consistent.
Yeah.
Don't forget that before.
His son is Fouls.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Don't forget that before the panel report, Falana had already did an investigation that unraveled that over 98 corpses were dumped in different mortuaries across Lagos State during that NSAS.
Okay, lastly,
so I think
we have ultimatum from ASU. They've given the federal government 3 weeks ultimatum, and there's also a breaking news that fuel scarcity looms as Nupeng gives federal government 14-day ultimatum. With all this ultimatum, people is saying that Nigeria is moving towards precipice. Do you agree with that?
You see, even before now, John Campbell, who is a former American ambassador to Nigeria, have written to American Congress that they should, is it American Congress or American government anyway, that they should recognize Nigeria as a failed state. Because if you look at, you see some indices of a failed state in Nigeria. You see that what they call non-state actors already having say in Nigeria. You see that a government, what makes you legitimate is to have monopoly of coercive power. And in Nigeria, you see the government sharing that coercive power with bandits, Fulani henchmen. We have a situation where I will not fail to mention ISWAP, Boko Haram. We have a situation where even the other time, a Fulani national, a group that goes by the name of Fulani Nationality Movement, attempted assassination on a sitting governor. You were talking about the governor being the governor and chief secretary of the state. We now have a situation where a governor have to run for his life. The governor of Benin State.
Borno State governor.
No,
okay,
he
also was attacked.
Yes, he was equally attacked. So you see, the way it is, the Nigerian state, Nigerian sovereignty, have never faced this existential threat. That's the truth.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew.
Thank you very much for having me.
Being on the program today. I would say it was a wonderful program, and also let's expect the best as we approach the coming days. We pray that these strikes do not make Nigeria go up in flames, because if Nupeng will come out and say they are going to go out on a nationwide, you know what happened to strike when it comes to petrol? Whenever there's a strike, the petrol price always goes up, and already we are in a mess when we talk about the price of foodstuffs and also services. We just pray that this does not escalate, and we pray. What do you expect from the federal government at this point in time?
You see, normally the government is supposed to listen to the people. The issue of ASU you just mentioned, since 2009,
they have been dragging.
No, since 2009, their salary have not been reviewed. Their salary structure has remained the same since 2009, and they have gone to strike over and over. Almost every government that comes on board, they have been going on strike. So for me, I think the government should look at how to review their salary to come in terms with the reality on ground now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew.
Thank you for having me.
We've come to the end of Pundits on Flip TV. Thank you very much all to everyone that have been part of the program. I am Christian Chuku, and we are saying a bye for now till we meet on our next edition of Pundits on Flip TV.
Saying that, but it's just that
and it's not in contemporaries in
you can get
Rivers.